today's session. And as you can see, it's another session on a core area of Power BI and data analysis. So utilizing analysis services for data modeling. And presenter for today is Folorunso Ajala. And I will just do a quick mention of, this session is brought to you by your BizEdge. We've been running these sessions since 2020. So by next year will be our 4th year. And thank you all for always attending. Without you all, the session will have come to a natural end. It's because we keep having people joining, people expecting. And then also we are now in Canada as MHS Analytics. Okay, so your BizEdge, we're a data analysis consulting and training firm. So we consult and train individuals and also companies. So if you know anyone who's requiring Power BI training, financial modeling training, Excel training, SQL training, or consulting services, we are one of the best options to refer them. And we also have online courses. So we've come up with this approach to make it easy for people to just select what they want to learn and learn at their own pace. And we are trying to create micro courses where you can just pick specific things to learn. So I will share this in case you're interested. And if you know anyone in Canada, US, Europe who will prefer to engage the North American entity, that would be nice. So I'll also share this link so you can check out about our Canadian arm. And now to the core aspect of today. Our presenter is Folorunso Ajala. He's a business intelligence and data analysis specialist, but he's got a business background, so it's a very nice mix. He's got the soft skill and the hard skill side of a business. So it's just to turn them into billions that is on the journey of doing right now. So he's got the Microsoft certification in data analytics and Power Platform. He works with Bluechip Technologies and is fully, involved in helping companies leverage data to make data-driven insights. I'm going to share his LinkedIn connection link in the chat so you can connect with him. And right now, I'll hand over the session to Folorunsho. So Folorunsho, over to you. I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much, Nadia, for the introduction. Good evening, everyone. Good day, everyone. Good morning. I know some of us are from different parts of the world. Mike, am I audible enough?
Yes, very clear.
Okay, so because we have a lot of things to cover, so let me just quickly share my screen so that okay. So, Michael, I'll be interacting more with you because of the settings of the teams that we have here. Okay, so you can see my screen, right, Michael?
Yes, yeah.
Okay,
You're on
so
PowerPoint right now.
yes, on PowerPoint. Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, everyone once again. So my name is Folorunso Ajala, as introduced before. So today we are going to be looking at building models using analysis service. I am very sure some people will be wondering what is building models has to do with what is analysis service and what is modeling again. What we are used to before is what I'm used to before is building models in Power BI or using Excel. So what is the analysis service all about? Okay, so analysis service is actually a tools mostly used by the enterprise when you're working with you are solving enterprise solution. So that is where you use analysis service, and there are some advantages of analysis service over the normal way that we normally use Power SQL or Power BI. So we have some benefits. Maybe at the end of this section, I will share the slide with you so that you can read some of the benefits of it. But this session is going to be a purely handout section. I'm going to do the demo from A to Z on how we are going to go about it. But when it comes to the benefit of analysis service, we can see scalability, security, reliable, some other advantages. And I think when you are working, I'm very sure that some of us that maybe we are still learning. I'm very sure that the number of data that maybe the highest data you have worked with is about, let's say, 5 million, 6 million. That is the number of data you are used to. But when it comes to enterprise solution, because I work with data that have to do with close to 500 millions, 600 million, close to a billion data sets. So, Power BI desktop doesn't have the capacity to, accommodate those kind of that number of data. So you need another tools that can do the work for you. So that is what we are learning today, the analysis service part of it. So this is our demo architecture, how we are going to, what the way our work is going to look like. So from the, I'm going to be using the database from ingest our data using the database to then create a database, do some ETLs, small ETLs. Then from ETLs, we connect to the tabular model. So this is exactly you can see this this diagram that you're seeing here. So this is the exactly where we are going to build our model. We are not building models in Power BI. So, that's why I said that building models in analysis service. So this is where we are building our model. Then once we are done building the model, we connect to Power BI and create our report or visualization. So let's see how, the journey of how to build a model using analysis service. Like I said, the importance of analysis service is for, when you are working in a big organization or big enterprise. So let me go to my SSMS, which is Management Studio. Michael, can you see my Management Studio? I just want to be sure
Yes.
if okay.
Yes, it's
So
visible.
okay, that's fine. So now, like I said, it's going to be like a end-to-end work demo here. So the way the analysis service work is that you can connect from any data source. You can connect from Excel, you can connect from Azure, you can connect from any of your database to SSM to your analysis service. So, but let's start with where our database, where our data is sitting down first. So I'm going to create a database. So let's just create a database. So for people that are, I know that some people, some of our participants here are, they are new bills, we have some new, and we have professionals too as well. So, but in case of, for the sake of people that are just starting their career, so let's just start from the scratch as well. So I'm going to create a database. I'm very sure if you know SQL, so I'll just say create, use some SQL script to create a database. I'll say create database, let me call it webinar. So let's just call it webinar. So I'm going to create a database. Create going to board. Okay, so I've created my database called webinar, and let me refresh here. So once I refresh, should be able to see my okay. Let me try and connect again. Okay, so you can see the database that I just created now, which is the webinar. So now I'll quickly do some data injection. I'm going to be using the tags. I'll click on import flash file. I'll be using this injection method. And I have a CSV file that's data that we're going to be using. So let me quickly ingest all this data. Let me quickly ingest all this data. So for the sake of maybe in case if you don't have SQL Server, you can use any other any other database or RDBMS that you have. You can use any RDBMS that you have. So in case if you don't have this, so let's quickly ingest. I have like about 5 data that I want to I want to ingest here. So I mean, just the products. So this is actually like a business, it's a sales data that has to do with um, different dimension. We have the products, we have the location, we have the customer, and we have the transaction as well. So, okay. So let me change the store location where that's the location of the business. Okay. So close. So I think it's remaining one more to ingest. Go to my tags, go to import file, flat file, just from here. So if you are using the flat file, most of the time we use CSV. The data, the Excel format is CSV. If you are using SSMS or you are using SQL Server. So okay, I've ingest all my data now. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to do a refresh here so that we can see the data that I just ingest. So I'll go to my table and okay, so I have all my data. So I have the customer, the product profile, the store information, and the transaction, which is our our table, which is our fact table. All other information here are the dimension table. So there is one more table that I need to create, which is the calendar table. Whenever you're dealing with sales, you need to have your calendar, the calendar or time table as well. So I have a script that I have written here to create my calendar. I'm not going to be explaining the scripts anyway because I'm not teaching how to learn SQL today. So I will just use the script to create a calendar table. So I will do a paste here. So you can see create tables, calendar, and so I'll just execute this. Sorry, okay. Change this thing to webinar. Okay. So let me execute. Okay, so you can see now I've created the calendar table. Let me do a refresh so that we can see the calendar here. Okay. So yeah, we have the calendar table. So let's just do some a little bit of querying, like let's see what is inside the information. So let's just do the select all. I will do select, or let me start from the calendar that I just created and see how the calendar table will look. So select all from calendar. So let's just see. So you can see our calendar table that I created with the scripts that I execute now. So we have the full date and all. So you can also check what what are the other things that we have, like the let's check our transaction. Let's even see what the data is all about. Transaction details. So you can run your select and all. So you can see we have the serial number, the order date. So when you have calendar, you can easily connect your date, your calendar with the transaction date here. We have the transaction ID, customer ID, talking about different, the primary keys, here, and everything here now, like customer ID here, as we all know, is a foreign key inside the fact table. So, well, I'm not going to be explaining all those technologies today, but this is just the information inside the table. So you can do your transformation if you want to modify, you want to alter, you want to do your ETL process, before you now go to the analysis service to go and build your model, because our focus here is the analysis service itself, not the SQL. So now, once you have your data, your clean data, you have transformed, your data might not be as clean as my own, the way I import it and everything is okay. No, your own might not be like that. You can still do your transformation process, do your ETL, do some, modify, alter, and everything in your SQL here. You can do a lot of things here. So once you are done, now, like I said, sometimes we can have about, let's say, close to 500 millions of data, 500 million rows of data, and Power BI doesn't have that capacity. I think the highest capacity Power BI have is about 10 million. The Power BI desktop, so the highest capacity that it has is about 10 million. I'm not sure, but I think it has a limitation to what number of data you can store inside it. If it is above 10 million, you might see that your Power BI might start misbehaving, or something might start happening. So the best approach is to use the analysis service. So now we have created our database, which we have here, webinar. We have our database already. So now let's now connect to analysis service. Now, in analysis service, we have two types of analysis service. We have the multidimensional analysis and we have the tabular model. So today we are going to be talking about the tabular model because that is the one that I'm mostly familiar with anyway. So we have two types of analysis service, and we have multidimensional, like I mentioned, and we have the tabular model. So for you to be able to use the analysis service, we have some tools. We call them SSDT, which is data tools for analysis service. And one of the SSDT is the tabular model that I mentioned now, and the multidimensional. So for you to be able to use tabular model, you will need to install Visual Studio. So now I'll go to my Visual Studio. At the end of this lesson, I think I have embedded some, or some guide on how to install Visual Studio SSMS for sake of people that are still new in the industry. So I have my Visual Studio here. Visual Studio is what is hosting your analysis service. Sorry, the tools, not the analysis service itself. The tools that you are going to use to work is host inside Visual Studio. So if you have been working on projects before, you will see your project on your left-hand side here, where you will have open recent. You will see some of your projects. I actually deleted my own because I want us to start afresh so that everybody will not be like, what did this guy get all this one? So I deleted all the information that I have here before so that we can start, afresh. So if you're opening your Visual Studio for the very first time, you will see create new project, open a local, all these things. If you have your project before, if you want to start a new project, just click on create a new project. But before, I'm supposed to click on create a new project now, but I will not do that. I will go to continue with that code. So I want to show you something before that. Okay. So now, when you open your Visual Studio is used for many things, for programming, for some other things, but you can also use it for, for projects like this as well. Okay. So now, if this is your first time, so I don't know why this thing is blocking my phone. Yeah.
Is it the Teams?
I don't know. This is blocked. I'm trying
Block.
to do something. Yeah, it's
Okay.
blocking.
Let
I
me,
don't
one
know.
trick we used to use is you see
Okay.
just beside the sign in on the right of your Visual Studio. If you
Okay.
just and click and drag it down a bit, the Visual Studio. So that's what we used to do to just bring what we want to work on a bit below the
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much
It's
for that.
not ideal, but it's a
Yeah,
problem that all of us
it's just
face.
all this phase. Yeah, it's fine. I understand. Thank you very much for that. Okay, so now, like I said, if you have not created any project before, just you can continue with that code. Then you come here to your extension. So you see this extension. This is where you now need to you can search for analysis service if you don't have analysis service installed before. So you have to install the extension. It's just like the way you normally install SQL Server database. So you have to come and install the analysis service before it can. If you open your Visual Studio and you expect analysis service to work, it won't work. You understand? You have to install the extension but I will not be showing you how to install the extension. I have embedded a recording of how to do that. So I'll click on File and I'll click on New. So I'll click on New. So let's start the project now. I'll click on Project. So now it's now taking me back to where I was before initially. So you can see from here now, you can see analysis service tabular project. Like I said, we have two types of analysis service. We have the multidimensional and we have the tabular one. So I'm using the tabular one, and that is what I install here. So I'm going to click on the analysis service. Then I'll click on next. In case you did not see your own for the very first time, you did not see it here, you can come to the, I think there is a search bar here that you can use to search for it anyway. So I'll just click on next. So you can see now it's asking me that, what is my project name? So let's call it, so let's call it webinar project. Webinar project. Let's start webinar project. Location, where did I want to where did I want to save my work? If you want to a particular location in your folder, you can decide where to do that. So let me just, I like having a particular, if I don't want it to just go to any place, so I'll go to webinar. So I'll say webinar data. So select folder. Okay, so I've selected that particular folder. Solution name, webinar project, that is the name. Framework, you can just leave all this one the way you see it here. So once you are done, just click on curate. Okay, so you have the integrated workspace and the workspace server. What this means is that if you are using your local server, just use the workspace. But if you are using, like maybe you are using the cloud, or you are using a mixture of cloud and local server, you can use the integrated one. So I will use the workspace server. Okay, you can test your connection. Okay, succeed. So you can the compatibility level. Well, because I'm using SPS Server 2019 anyway, so you can see analysis service. So and please, before you can use analysis service here as well, you have to install the instance of analysis service. When you are I'm very sure maybe if you have installed SQL Server database yourself before, there is an option to install analysis service. So you can make sure that you install analysis service when you are installing it as well. So I'll just click on OK, and then my project is creating already. Okay, so now we have our webinar project here. Okay, is opening. So let's just wait for some seconds. Okay, so now you can see now we have our webinar project. You can see the tabular model explorer. We have the solution explorer as well, then properties. So this is exactly where our work is, how to build. Now this interface, I'm very sure that some people will be like, what is this interface all about again? Actually, the very first time that I was introduced to this, but I was like, what is this again? I thought data analysis is just about Power BI and Excel. What is all this Visual Studio? But at the end of the day, it's very, very interesting software to use anyway. So now this is our webinar project. You can see calculation group, data source. I'm very sure that all these things, they are something that they are even part of Power BI now. If you check your latest Power BI, the latest version of Power BI as at today, you will see calculation group. It is not there before. Data source, all these things are what people doesn't have access to in Power BI, that you have some external tools that you can make use of that are available in external tools. So now let's connect to our data source, which is our SQL server. So to do that, I'm going to right click on the webinar project. Or no, let's go to data source. So let's go to data source. So just right click on your data source. From your data source, you will see import from data source. You will see new data source. So let's click on import from data source. Okay, so now we want to connect to our database. You understand? Your database can be anything. It can be Excel, it can be a cloud base, it can be anything. But I'm using my local my database now. I'll click on database and I'll click on SQL. Like I said, you can use any other database, MySQL, Postgres. It doesn't have to be SQL Server anyway. So I'm going to click on SQL Server database. Then I'll click on connect. Hello, Michael. I hope you guys can still hear me. Hi, Michael. Hello,
Yes,
Michael.
yes,
Okay.
sorry. I was not fast enough to unmute myself. Yes,
Okay.
in
All
fact,
right.
everyone is hearing everybody, there are a lot more people in the house now.
All right.
All
Okay. Okay.
clapping and
All right. Thank you. I can't see any, but if there's any question, you can call my attention to that. Okay, so now let's connect to the database. So I'll go to, I'll come here. So my database engine, copy this and, okay, so let me go back to my Visual Studio. So I want to connect to my database. I'll paste my database here. So it's my server name. So what is my database? What is the server database? That is the webinar. So remember that's the database. Oh, sorry, I made a mistake here. So that's the webinar. Webinar. Okay, so then I'm going to connect it now. So now what we're expecting now is to connect to our data. So it's going to ask you for authentication. We use my window authentication. Okay, so let me just click on window, then I'll click on, oh, sorry. Okay, I need to put my information here. Okay. Okay. So my password, that's your window password in case you are using window. So I'll click on connect. So I'll click on OK. Okay, so this will take us to should see your database. We should see our database now, our tables. Okay, so you can see now our calendar, customer profile, product profile. You can see everything. So now you can select everything because you want to load and so now you have the same option. So if you are familiar with Power BI before or Excel Power Query, is the same, is the same, how will I say, the same thing. I would say it's just a different interface. So you have the same option, load and transform data. So most of the time, it is always advisable that you do your transformation, from the, from SQL, because I think SQL is even more easier to do transformation rather than using Power Query. So, but in case maybe you feel that there are some things that might happen, maybe during the process of taking your data from SQL to Power to analysis service now, you want to do your transform data, you can transform your data. But currently, I know that at least 80% of my data is clean. So I will just go with, load the data. But the normal process is to transform data anyway. So I will click on load. So because I actually want to show you something, that is why I'm going to use the load option. So while this is loading, because it's going to take some few minutes or some minutes. So let's go back to the slide while that is loading. Okay, so let me go back to the slide. Okay, so today the topic we are covering is definitely analysis, using building models in analysis service, and talk about what are the things that we're going to be looking at, connecting Power BI and building reports. We are going to do that. Building data model and defining relationship. We are going to do that. Measures and calculation. We are going to do that, and preparing your model for development as well. We'll cover that. So these are the steps that I have covered earlier: importing my CSV file, setting up a database. We are now we have done some data transformation and cleaning. Like I said, you can do your transformation and cleaning in SQL as well. So after that, this is where we are now, connecting to tabular model. Connecting to the tabular model. So, like I said, our database that we are using is the SQL Server. So we are now connecting to analysis service tools. Tabular model or Visual Studio is not the analysis service. It is just a tools that analysis service is using. I hope everybody understand that. So we are connecting to the analysis service now, which we currently running the processing at the moment, connecting to your data source and how you can see. So that is the step that we are now. So let me go back to my Visual Studio and see if still loading. Okay, still you can see our progress here, still loading. Okay, let's just wait for more minutes. Yeah, let's just wait for more minutes and see.
In the meantime, I know it's not going to be possible for you to even answer the question now, but just wanted to read
Okay.
it out. So someone said that he or she is going to be interested in seeing what the transform looks like, because a lot of people are, doing thumbs up and love emoji when you showed that
Uh,
place where we could pick the data sources, it was like, oh, now we're back to something familiar.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, the very first time too that I was introduced to analysis, I was like, God, they didn't tell me that it's going to be this. So, but I think my boss was telling me that time that no, it's something that you're familiar with, so you don't have to stress yourself. Okay, so but yeah, okay, the transformation. Yes, we are going there. We are going to the transformation part as well. The reason why I don't want to go there is because I want to show you. I want to show us from the interface. How do you get there from the interface here? So because I know the interface might be something when you are introduced to a new environment, sometimes to navigate yourself, it might be a hard. You'll be like, this thing, what am I supposed to press here now? So that is why I decided to not to click on the transform, but go through this route. So it's still processing. So let's wait while it's processing. But if there is question, Michael, I would love to answer if there's any question at the moment. But if there's no question, it's fine.
No
Okay.
questions.
Okay, so let's see. Let me go back and see. Yeah, okay. So we have our data. We are done with our data. So now going to the transformation part now, I'm going to show us how to get to the transformation. I just want to make sure that the interface, at least to some extent, we are familiar with the interface as well. So now this is the analysis service tabular model. This is the Explorer data source where you connect your data source. You can see my data where I connect data expression, KPI, your measures, everything, your relationship rules, tables, and translation. So now let's assume that you loaded your data just the way I loaded data. Now you now feel like, oh, I need to do some transformation. I want to do some data cleaning. How do you get to the Power Query of analysis service? Now to get to the Power Queries of analysis service, what you just need to do is that just click on the table drop down. You will see the table. You can see all the tables that we load into our analysis service, our tabular project model tools now. So I'm going to click on the product profile. Now, please observe something before I go to the transformation. And that is the reason why I said I'm going through this route rather than clicking on the transform. So you can see that our product price, it has about, a numbers of decimal number. So we are going to transform this. We are going to round it up to 2 decimal number. Our unit price will do the same thing. Our product name, I am seeing some unwanted character. You can see this character here. So it's an unwanted character that, it might not be good for our report. So let's see how we can clean up. We can, remove the unwanted character and, do some little transformation, some little things here as well. So I'll go to my product profile. So I'm going to be using the product profile as an example of my transformation. I will not I can't cover every other table. I'm very sure that we are all familiar with Power Query already before. So now you can see now product profile. I'm going to click on table properties. This is what is going to take you to the Power Query. You understand? It's going to take you to the Power Query. So I'll click on design. So just click on design. So now I'm very sure we are familiar with this, our Power Query already. So everybody know Power Query. Okay. So now you can see the Power Query now. So Power Query here is a bit maybe it's a bit somehow anyhow. So you can see, but you still have the same things that we have, like your column, your transform tab, your combine tab. You should still have everything here as well. Still have everything here as well. Okay, so now let's do some little bit of transformation. Like I said, let's first round up our production price. So we want to round it to like 2 decimal. So I will go to my transform. So I will go to number, I will go to rounding, then I'll go to round. So let's round it to like 2 decimal. So I'll click on 2. I'll click on OK. So you can see now that it has rounded. So this one as well. So let's round this one as well to number, rounding. Then I will round this to 2 decimal as well. To 2 decimal. Okay. So now, like I said, I feel that this particular column product name, I'm seeing some unwanted character here, and I'm very sure that we all know how to remove unwanted character in Excel. We know how to do that very well. We use our normal clean and trim function to do all those cleaning up. So I'll go to transform and I will click on text column because this is text column. I'll go to text column and I would go to format and I'll go to clean. Now, I have cleaned this thing, but I am still seeing this unwanted character. The character did not want to leave also. So I think I struggle on how to remove this character. But one other method that I when I was trying to clean the data is that I tried so many methods. So I was either I have to clean first, then I need to use replace value to do that. So I will remove this. I'll remove this and I'll click on replace with. Now, if I'm replacing with now, you can't even replace with space. It will not work. So I'll just go to advanced option. Then I'll click on replace using special character. And I'll click on tab. So I'll click on OK. So you can see now that we have removed the unwanted character. Probably if there is a space there, you can just come here again and use your text and format and use your trim to remove if there is any space. Okay, so we are done with transformation in Power BI. I'm sorry, I'm used to Power BI. We are done with transformation in analysis service, the Power Query of analysis service. So you can see how smooth the journey is. Like it's not even stressful at all. So we are done. And the next thing we do is what? After you are done with your apply, your transformation and everything, you do what? We do close and apply. Here we have close and update, which is also the same thing as close and apply. So I'm going to close and apply. Then we're going to process again, take us to the front end, to the front end back or the analysis service. So you're going to take us to the front end back. Okay, it's going to take a while before this is done. Michael, I don't know if there's any question why this is loading, so I can just.
There are two questions. So Delvis is asking.
Okay.
He's saying, are there system specifications or restrictions for all of these? That's the way he has written it. So I guess for all of what we are doing using this analysis service via Visual Studio.
Okay, so sorry, the system specification. Okay, anyway, I don't know about system specification, but I know that my own system is I'm using 8 GB 64 operating system operating OS. Then just make sure that your system is. I think there are some. I don't really know much about the system, but just go for a good system. Like make sure that your system have the capability to carry all these heavy tools. You understand? So, but I would just advise that if you are using like 8 GB 64-bit operating system, you should work with it. So okay, so I'll click on OK, and I'll click on OK. So now you will see that when we come back to the front end, you have Michael, you can still see that this character is still there. You can see, and we have cleaned this character at the back end, and it's still showing here. So now you will now be wondering that what happened? My data cleaner that I did the Power BI Power Query is still showing. Even the number that were rounded up is still showing again. So what are the issues? What is the problem here? So what you need to do here is to come and process this table. You need to process the table. So how do you process the table? Just click on the table, then go to extension, then go to table. Go to model, then go to process, then click on process table. So when you process the table, it's going to give you the updated things that you have done at the Power Query side. So you need to process your table. So once you have transformed your data, so that is the reason why I did not go through the transform route the other time, so that we can all see all these steps as well. Okay, so maybe why this is okay. I think there is another question, Michael. Maybe if you can just ask the second question why this is processing.
Yeah, that's true. So Abdul Kadri is asking, so he says, please sir, how can we install analysis service? And can we use it just like a database, like a SQL Server? I know you touched a bit on it, like when you're installing SQL Server, enable that option to
Yes,
install
exactly,
analysis
exactly.
service.
Analysis software. So you can. This is my personal system. This is not even office work. So this is just a personal work, and I use it for the. I think I did a project, a personal project, not quite long, and I use analysis. I just said, let me explore analysis service. I use like just do some work and all. So you can use it to do project instead of just using Power BI. I'm very sure that most of us is only Power BI. Just import data from Excel. Bam, we are done. Publish. Put on social media. So you can explore some other method as well. So for the installation, at the end of the day, I have embedded some links for us so that you can watch, how to install analysis service as well. So you will have the videos on that. So now you can now see that the product name is no longer showing the character. Unit price is showing fine now. You can see everything is fine now. So now you are done with transformation. After transformation, what is the next thing? Is to build our model. Yeah, right. Everything we are doing here is even model. It's not even everything we are doing here is big because measures too is also part of model. I was going through Microsoft Learn and I was like, all these measures that I did is still part of model. So now let's build our model. So to build your model, this is the table view. You will see this icon here. This is your diagram. I'm very sure that we are all familiar with model tab in Power BI already. So if you are seeing this, it's nothing new again. So you can see everything here now. So you can start dragging your your tables and all. You can start dragging them here. So let's see. You can start dragging them here. So now let's build you can do normal drag and drop, but I will not use this route to build the relationship. So I'll go to extension and I'll click on table. I'll go to you can use the create relationship, but I like using the manage relationship anyway. So let's use the manage relationship. So click on create and so I'll pick my fact table, which is the transaction data. Then now let's start connecting them together. I'll go to the calendar first. So order dates and then full date, full date. So you can see the cardinality just like the way we have it in Power BI, one to many, many to one, many. You can have the cardinality. The filter direction is filtering to the many side of the table. You can see as well. So just click on OK. Click on OK. So that is the first relationship. Let's create another one. I'll go to transaction data, then go to customer profile, customer ID, so you can see one to many as well. The direction is featuring this direction. So that is fine. Okay, so let's create another one. Let's create that will be from the transaction to our product profile. So that is our product ID. Then let's pick our product ID. Okay, so product ID. So one to many as well. Our filter is still to the transaction data. So the last one that I'm going to create will be between products, between the product and the store ID, because the store location does not have relationship with the transaction. So I'm going to build store location and the store location here. So it's still one to many. So yeah, fine. Okay, so let's close. So now you can see now that our model, we have built our model now. So this is not a star schema. This is a snowflake schema because we have connected, we have connected one dimension to another dimension already. So this is where you build your, you do your connection. And if you want to edit, you can go back to your extension and go back to your model. And, if you want to go more to model table rather, then click on manage. If you want to edit, maybe you don't want to make your relationship to be active, you can edit it and all those stuff that we normally do in Power BI. So once you are done, let's go back now. So we have built our relationship. Now let's go to measures where we can do some calculation. You can also do calculation in in analysis service as well. So how do you do calculation? How do you calculate here? So everything, we are building everything here already. So we are not taking it to Power BI to go and do anything. So now the first thing I will calculate is, let's go to our transaction details. So here, let's calculate total customer. We want to calculate our total customer, total sales, total cost, and total. Let's calculate profit as well. So let's start. I will start with the total customer. So to calculate here, just say total customer, total customer. So now to calculate here, normally in Power BI, you will say total customer equals to. In analysis service, it doesn't work like that. I remember one of my colleagues at work recently, he was doing, I think the guy have used about 2 hours, want to calculate something on analysis service. And he didn't know that you need to put a colon here before it can work. He didn't put a colon, he has do a lot of calculation. You just deploy and see that calculation is not working. So please, whenever you are using analysis, don't forget to put the colon here, because if not, it won't work. So to calculate our total customer, let's use which function should we use? I'm very sure that we did data analytics expression last week. I was part of the session as well. So I believe that this DAX is not new to some of us again. So total customer, let's use the distinct count. Distinct count, that's our transaction customer ID. So that's total customer. So now that's 182. Okay. So now let's calculate for we want to calculate quantity supply. Let's just do some little bit calculation as well. So we want to calculate total quantity. Let's calculate total cost, total sales. So now you will say that our table here, we only have quantity supply. We do not have price. Our price is sitting there in another table, which is product profile. Yeah, that is where we have our price. So I'm going to use some calculation to do that. So let's look at total cost. To get total cost, So to get total cost, I'll say equals to, I will use the iterator function, which is sum x. So let me put the colon here. So I'll use the iterator function called sum x. Sum x, that's our transaction detail. Transaction detail. I'm not explaining DAX to Hustle because we have a session on it last week. So transaction details, then I'll type our quantity supply multiplied by related what? By related products. That's our production price. So production price is the cost of producing, the cost they used to produce. That's total cost. So let's enter that. Okay, total cost. So let's do total sales. Total sales, yeah, total sales. Total sales is let's use some heads as well. Some x. So what are we? So the same function, transaction details. Okay. Transaction details. Sorry. Comma, then our quantity supplied multiplied by related that's our unit price. So that is calculation. So now let's calculate profit now. So to get profit would be profit. That will be profit. So that will be total sales minus total cost. So you can see now that you can actually do your measures here as well. So this is just the little things we will do. We will not go deeper. So you can format, maybe you want to format your measures. So let's just format this profit. You can see under your properties here, you can see format just the way we have it in Power BI. So let's just format it to like a currency format. So let's click on the drop down and format it to currency. So you can see now. So when you are done creating your measures, the next thing you need to do is to save your work. So click on File and click on Save All. Is to save your work. Yeah, because of our time, time is fast, so I have to quickly finish. So once you are done, so you can now deploy. So you can see your relationship here as well. You can see all your relationship. Sorry, I might not be able to explain all this. Relationship is here. Your measures, the measure that we created, you can see profit, total cost, total customer. All the measure that we created is here. Your row level security, you can configure row level security here. You can do some other thing, perspective, you can do some other things here. So once you are done, with your measures and all, now you can now deploy your work. You can deploy. Now deploying this work is now deploying to analysis service. Like I said, tabular model here is just a tool that analysis service is using. This is not this is not where analysis service exactly is, but this is just a tool that is, that analysis service is using. So now you deploy to analysis service. Deploy to analysis service. Because I have installed analysis service before and I have done the connection. That is why it might be possible for my own to deploy, is going to deploy, successfully. But if you did not install analysis service, your deploy might not be successful. So make sure that you have the analysis service engine installed and you have the the analysis service in Visual Studio also installed. So while we are processing this, let me go back to the slide and Michael, I don't know if there's question, so that I'll repeat myself again. Is there any question so far?
Yes, there are some questions. I also try to answer some. Let me go to where you stopped the last time. Someone asked about recording. I've answered that. Someone was asking that why are the steps slow in this one? Like when you load, it takes a bit of time. That is asking that is that's just the way he has structured his question. Why is it slow when loading?
Why is slow? Well, I don't really have I don't think I have a very good answer for that. But I think the reason why it's slow is that maybe because of the the engine, the query, it has to do a lot of processing. The data is coming from SQL Server. It has to do maybe because sometimes maybe if you are using the cloud, it might be faster than the local server. But in terms of why it's slow, I don't really have an answer to that anyway. Any other question?
Yeah, so let me see. Adibola asks, is it possible to create measures, which I see you've done already, so I guess you've answered this. Create measure data report view of the analytical services.
Okay, so I think I've answered that question. You can create measures here already. So you can create your measures here. Okay. So okay, I think now we have deployed. You can see the deployment is successful. You can see. So everything is successful now. So now we are done with analysis service. Now let's go to the Power BI side of it. I have 5 minutes left. Okay, so now let's go to Power BI.
By the way, as for time, you can take more minutes. Yeah.
Okay. Actually, okay. So I actually
you have
want
something to go to. Yeah, I understand. Okay. But
okay,
if you on our side, we are okay with you.
All right, fine, no problem. So now, on Power BI, so we are done. Okay, so before I come to Power BI, let me go back to analysis service to SSMS. So here now, I'm going to connect. See, from here now, I'm going to connect to analysis service. So database engine, if you install database engine, make sure you also install analysis service engine as well. So I'm going to connect to analysis service. Now I've connect. Now, if you check your database, now can you see the webinar project? Because I have deployed from Tabular, from the Visual Studio, I've deployed here. Can you see the webinar project here now? You can see the webinar project. So that means that it is there. And you can come here. Sometimes you can come here to come and maybe there's a new development on the SQL server that you did. Maybe you added some information. You can come here to come and process your data, just refresh your data and all. So okay, so that is that. So now let me go back to Power BI. Let me go back to Power BI. Now in Power BI, so I'm very sure that some of us, when you click on get data, maybe for the newbies, I'm very sure of that one. The only part that everybody knows is Excel workbook. So that is what most of us are familiar with. I understand. So you can, Excel workbook, but you will have some other options like analysis service, data, data vars. Actually, me too, I've not explored some of other options like that, but I know analysis service, so I can talk about that. Maybe other one I'll go and learn it, and I'll come back on the webinar and come and teach us as well. So I will go to analysis service, and now it's asking for the server. So what is the server? Just like the way I copied the other time, I will go back to my data, and I'll go to connect analysis service. I'll copy my server name. Then I'll come here and go to my Power BI, connect. Then it's asking for the database. You can leave the database. You can make it option. Now, before I connect now, so you have two options: connect live and import. So because it doesn't make sense for us to be importing this thing again, so let's just use connect live. And now when you are connecting live, let's look at the left-hand side. You will see that we have about 4 tabs here. This is just a new tab. This DAX is a new tab. Before, it is not there. It is the latest update on Power BI now. So you will see the report view, the table view, and the model view. Now you observe that once I click on connect now, something is going to happen. Let's just look at this part and see what is going to happen now. So I'll click on OK. I'll click on OK. Okay, so it's connecting to the analysis service now. It's connecting to the analysis service. So now you can see now the webinar project. So you can see, click on the drop down, click on the model. So you can see this model contains the following dimension and measures: calendar, everything, your total sales profit, and or you can see everything. So once you are done, just click on OK. We are connecting live, don't forget. So we have connected. Okay, now you will see that now we have 4 icons here before. Now 2 options disappear. You understand? 2 options disappear because what we are doing here now, we don't need to come and do now. Even if you go to transform data, you can easily go to your transform data. But now with analysis service, you cannot go to transform data. You cannot see the option to go and do transformation again. You have to go to your analysis service tools here, which is your tabular model, to come and do your transformation and everything that you want to do. So you won't see the options in Power BI. So we are done actually. So let's just do some little calculation. Little visuals and reporting. So I will go to my transaction details and click on profit. Let's see what we have. We have our profit. So we have our profits. Just click on view. So you can do total cost as well. So you can see and do total sales as well. Just do some little calculation and so you are not designing dashboard today. Anyway, so let me just do products, product name by if you just want to gain some insights from it. Let's see what information we can can gain from it. So which product is, give us the highest profits, in terms of sales, which product, so you can see that is, so we don't have, I'm not building report today anyway. So let's just stick with what we have now. So this is your report. You can design your report, build more on this and also at 7 o'clock. Yeah. So that is all I have on building your models in analysis. And you can see that we are using the live connection. We are not using direct query. We are not using import mode. We are using live connection. I'm very sure this live connection is something, if you want to write your PL 300 or all this exam, most of the time they always ask you what is the difference between live connection, direct query, and storage mode. So it's something that in case for some of us that might still want to write the exam, so you might not notice the differences between all those storage modes. Okay, so Michael, I think that is all for my hand.
You have somewhere you have to be, right?
What is it?
Like because I just want to know how many minutes you have for question and answer.
No, I don't know how many questions we have. I don't have anywhere to. I just want to keep to the time. That's all.
Oh, okay, great. Okay, so there's one more okay, I think I can. So while you are in the Visual Studio Tabular project environment model, yeah. So Davis was asking that is there a difference between create relationship and manage relationship?
Okay, so create relationship and manage relationship is almost the same. No, it's not almost the same thing. Let me say create relationship is just like you want to create relationship, you just want to, but if you want to edit, like you want to make some changes to what you have created before. So that is why you have to use the manage relationship. You have to, because if you want to edit here, maybe you want to change the cardinality, or you want to change the filter direction, or you want to modify, okay, which key am I supposed to use? You understand? So that is the reason. But most of the time, it's always advisable you use the manage relationship, because I think that option, give you an overview of everything you can do at once. You want to create, you want to edit, you want to delete. So that's on manage relationship.
Okay. Then so another question. By the time you connected to Power BI, and you said we should connect to this analysis service to pull in data into the Power BI. So Shakirat is asking that, is there any limitation that are there some things that we wanted to do that we could not do in the analysis and service that now requires us to come back to Power BI? So is there any limitation to what can be done in analysis service for us to now connect to Power BI again? So after she asked, this was when you now started creating the visuals. So I suspect we can create those visuals in the analysis
okay, yes,
tabular model.
you cannot create visuals. There is no room for creating visuals, creating reports in analysis service. So once you are done creating your measures, let me just say the models is what analysis service is hosting. Your models, your measures, your relationship, that is what analysis service is holding. Is the one holding the major work, like the data itself is sitting there in the analysis service, not in the Power BI. You understand? So that is that and that
Okay. So another question. So Adebola, let me just read the way the question is written. After creating the report and publishing it on service, what do we connect to for the refresh? Okay, so I think I got what the person is saying. That now that Power BI stuff you've done, you added some cards, you added a bar chart. Let's say you now published it, right?
Okay.
So here's our question is, are you going to need to set up a Power BI gateway? How are you going to configure for refresh purposes?
Okay, so well, if I'm also still currently I'm facing that challenge as well of working with analysis service and publishing it, because I face a challenge where I'm done with the whole work, and to publish it is a very tough task for me to do. And the reason is because I think analysis service, there is a way you have to configure it to be able to see the data on Power BI service. You cannot just publish the way you normally publish. There are some certain things that you will need to do. You understand? You have to do some configuration. They call it. I think I was even watching some recording, but eventually I didn't get the. Maybe Michael, you can help out anyway. I don't know if you have worked with analytics service before. So like I was trying to publish, and they were telling me to have a domain, something like that, and I could not publish the work. I had to use another method of creating the report and publishing it, because it's something that I want to publish. But the way it is still the normal way. If you want to do your refresh, if your data base is on your local server, you have to use gateway. You connect your gateway to your SSMS, then you do your refresh. But when you will have issue is when you want to configure Power Analysis service on the Power BI service. That is when you have a slight, not even a slight issue, because it's a big issue for me, because I cannot even publish the work right now. I have to use another means. So the same way we normally use gateway, you have to use that method as well. But configuring the analytics service is a big problem, because it is not a normal way around. They will tell you to go and create a domain, something, and they don't even understand that stuff right now. But if anybody, eventually you have a solution, you can always reach out to me and share your solution as well with me. Michael, I don't know if I've answered your question.
Okay, thanks. I've not also configured gateway for analysis service before too, so we are in same. You are ahead
But
of us.
but where I work, the way it works is that we use Azure. So I think if you are using Azure, you might, if you are using the cloud-based database, you might not have the same issue that I'm facing. Maybe because I'm using my local server. Maybe I will try to use Google Drive or Google Sheets and see whether it will work fine, because I will explore that one. If I get a solution on that, I might share, maybe do a recording and share. But for local server, for all these database that we use, it doesn't work. It doesn't work like that. Okay,
So
Michael.
I think the last question. All right. So the person is asking that at that point where you were going to point it to the now in Power BI, you wanted to now
Okay.
point it to bring in data from the analysis engine, the analysis. So what was the difference? The question is, what's the difference between the direct query mode, the direct query import mode, and the live connection? The person read it as connective, but live
Okay.
connection mode.
Okay, so that's a nice question anyway. So okay, so the difference between direct query and live connection and storage is that for storage, you have access to the data. You can do transformation, you can build your model. I don't think you don't even have any restriction to anything you can do with storage mode. But with direct query, you will not have access to the table view. You won't be able to see table view, but you will have access to transformation. You can do transformation in direct query, but you will not have access to the table view. While for live connection, you don't have access to transformation, you don't have access to table view. You understand? But you can create measure. You can see new measure here. You can create measure with live connection. You can create measures with direct query. You can create measures with, importing the data as well. So, those are just the little differences. And one thing about the analysis service is that the data is not sitting down in your Power BI here. It's on the analysis service engine already. You understand? So those are the little difference. And in direct query as well, the data too is not the data is also in your database. It's not, you are not transferring the data into the Power BI as well. So I don't know if I've answered that question. If I answered it well.
Okay, so I'm looking. I think those are all the questions we have.
All right.
So while we see if maybe anyone ask further questions. The two questions we ask all our presenters, and I'll combine them so that you can answer them as take as much time as you need. Is how did you get into this space? You know, what was your journey like? And then secondly, is your advice for people who are trying to switch maybe from another field or they are just even starting completely afresh after school. So what's your advice for people who are newly transitioning to this space and how
No.
did you get
Okay.
to where you are now?
Okay, so well, I think let me my own journey into data is when you finish school and you are looking for work up and down, there's no this is how it started. I was trying to apply for jobs after my school, and most of the jobs that I see online, maybe on LinkedIn or job, it's most of the job require either Excel, you must know office tools, you must know one thing, like all these, software. And I was like, they did not teach us all these things in school. Which one is most of the job is use? I will shall say Excel. That one is like constant K. So I was like, okay, this Excel that they always put in this job description, I need to let me go and learn what this Excel is. And because I'm from the business background as well, I study business administration, and I also want to be able to, because in school, everything that they taught us is theory. They will tell you some factors that is affecting this thing. At the end of the day, there is no data to back it up. So I actually want to understand why some certain things is happening. If they are teaching me, okay, this thing is because they used to teach us a lot of factors affecting this thing, factors affecting this thing. So I want to know the factors. They did not tell us that, okay, in so year, this is what happened. They did not, there is no data that is, backing all these, factors that they are saying. They will say some business collapse. There is no reason why the business collapsed. They didn't give us the fact. So I actually want to understand the business part of the business and understand the data that's around them. Okay, so then I want to become like a consultant and be able to give advice to to business, be able to advise business on, okay, this is how you should going forward, or for maybe new company that are just coming up. You understand? So that is how later on I just reached out to some of my friends that are into tech, and they were like, okay, I said, okay, I'm looking for a job, but most of the job they always require Excel. You have to learn Excel. You have to. So I talked to a friend of mine, and they were like, okay, I have a platform that they want to do a boot camp for like few months, and I've been for like 4 weeks. I said, okay, I'm interested. I've been looking for where to learn Excel before. You understand? So I think one of the facilitators said I've even come on this platform to speak as well. So and then I started learning, and I was like, oh, so this thing is even simple like this. Excel is so simple like this. Like, okay, let me learn, then later pivot to Power BI and start learning SQL and all. But all this thing learning is actually, I don't think that is a self-learning, apart from maybe some of the bootcamp free online class, and also like webinars like this, because there are some times that I come to webinars like this, and one or two things I gain from them, and it's also part of what I use. Then another thing that I've done in the past, maybe that I think that have really helped me is I practice a lot when it comes to, because I really want to know these tools very well. And I feel like if you are not practicing, Power BI itself, every month Microsoft is releasing update. Before you know it, you feel this thing has changed again. So I think consistent practicing will help the newbies. You have to keep practicing often. So what I did is that I used to do before. I used to be active on LinkedIn doing some challenge, maybe ONYS challenge, do some FP20 challenge, all these data challenge. Those are the things that actually help me. And join. I think one of my boss, Adewale Yusuf as well. So last year, is it last year or 2 years ago? That was 2020. Yeah, it's last year. Organize some boot camp. Even though I know some things, I still feel like, okay, let me go and join the bootcamp again. Let me, learn more, because when you join something like a webinar or all this bootcamp, you might think that you know everything, but there will be something that maybe someone have not mentioned to your ear before that will just grab, and that thing, if you grab it, is part of, you will be like a champion at the end of the day. So those are the things that I do, and LinkedIn challenge, and make sure that I post, and I also post my work, and I also volunteer to also impart others, to teach people as well. So that is my journey. Yeah. I don't know if I answered your question, Michael.
Yeah, thanks, and it's amazing. So people are even doing thumbs up and saying, "Wow, that's a very comprehensive approach you've laid out for someone to get into this space and keep abreast of things. Not just learning, but also putting to use what one is learning." And okay, and it's also interesting your journey. You came from a problem to solution approach. You saw some problems. You were not happy with the solutions that people were giving. Like just being telling you this is what's happening, factors affecting different aspects of what I you know you are reading or checking about, and you wanted to go in a data-driven approach, and so you became more interested in the data side of business. I know maybe you didn't mention it, but may I mention it in your introduction? I think you originally have a business background, right? Before you switched into data. So,
Well, like I do some businesses while in school, but it's not really like no, I studied business administration. That is part of my, like, in school. That's what I studied. I studied
okay.
business administration. So while in school, I do some businesses. So yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, so I think no more questions. People have been appreciating. In fact, for me, this is a very wonderful session. I don't think anyone has come on our webinar for the last 3 years to do anything on analysis service, and you have decided to not just take it from scratch. You've also shown us how to create things afresh, walked us through the process and then take it back into Power BI. And so you've covered a lot in 1 hour. Thank you very, very much. And we hope to have you again. So
Yeah, thank you.
to everyone who has also joined this session, I know people are asking for the recording. Yes, the recording will be live on YouTube by tomorrow. And please help us fill a feedback form on this session so that we'll use that to always gauge the sessions you want us to have again and again. If you want us to repeat this session, that's the way you tell us, because we don't know which sessions people want. So we hope that from the feedback we get to understand more of what people want. And then if you want to present, please I've shared a form for you to fill. If you've learned something interesting and you've mastered it and you want to share the knowledge with the rest of us, we are always happy. And lastly, please connect with Folorunsho. I'm sharing again his LinkedIn connection link so you can have him in your network. Is there any other thing I've missed? Okay, I think those are it. And if you require any, one last thing, join the community. If you are not part of this community, what I mean by community is there's a community page. That's where the all the events are published. You will even automatically get weekly reminders of what event is going to happen. So I would say join the community page, and the rest of the year we still have some powerful sessions coming. So you don't want to miss them. All right. So with that, I say thank you to everyone, and a special thank you to Folorunsho for this amazing comprehensive session. You've done a lot of work. Even the slide that you prepared, which I know took you a lot of time. For the sake of the practical, you didn't even spend too much time on it. You made sure you spend a lot of time on the practical side. So this 1 hour that we are seeing from you probably has taken you 2, 3, 4 hours to prepare, what you presented to us. So we are very grateful for that. Thank you very, very much. So with that, I am going to end the webinar. Okay, so thank you everyone. Have a wonderful week ahead. Thank you once again for Folorunsho, and see you all next week. Bye.